Welcome to the Gentle class today. Our theme this week is on touch. And in a pandemic, we're all, maybe not all of us, but many of us not getting the hugs that we're used to, maybe just those in our bubble, if we even have anyone else in our bubble. And so no matter whether it's a pandemic time or not, these ways of holding ourselves can be really helpful I'm tongue-tied, in times of stress or in times of anxiety to give you, again, as we've been talking about for the last few weeks, a little more ease for the nervous system. So when we touch our bodies in certain ways, it can help us to feel more grounded. It can make us feel more secure, more supported. And I'm going to introduce to you today 4 different ways that we can use touch as a way of kind of grounding us. And don't worry about taking notes or trying to remember it. I'm going to send it out to you later in an email with the details, so you can use these holds anytime in your life. So we'll use a couple of them in the class today, but for the most part, it's just something that you can do. It's a tool that you can pull out of your tool chest when you need it, when you're feeling yourself get a little bit out of sorts. And it may feel good for you, it may not. So my suggestion is do, what feels good for you. And if something doesn't feel right, you're just going to leave that behind. And so the first one that we'll do is, I'm just giving 1 second here. Okay, so the first hold that we'll do is actually for the head. And in this one, it's a nice one to do if you're feeling like there's a lot of stuff in your head and it's feeling like it's a bit overwhelming. It's also kind of nice if you have a headache or you're feeling tired, overwhelmed. And a lot of these things we actually do naturally. We do them instinctively because our bodies know, right? So you may have seen this gesture before. So it's one hand is on the forehead, and then the other hand comes to the base of your skull. So you're kind of holding your head from 2 sides, kind of containing all of that energy. So with each hold, we'll just spend a moment to kind of feel the hold, notice what happens in the body. You can close your eyes. Like I said, I'm standing, but you can certainly sit for this. I just want to be a little closer to the screen. So that's one hold. You can take a big breath in and release. So the second one is, excuse me, is one that we often do in class. We often do it lying down, but you can do it standing or sitting as well. And that's to place one hand somewhere on the rib cage around the heart. It could be sort of up in the upper chest, somewhere in the middle, or down by the solar plexus, and the other hand a little lower on the abdominal or belly area. And then the idea here is just adding a little tiny bit of pressure. So you feel your hands on your body. And when you're upset or you're sad and someone just puts their hand on you somewhere, how much it can bring you to calm. So we can do the same thing using our own hands, just feeling that sense of calm as much as possible. And like I said, it may not have that effect on you, right? We're all different. So if something doesn't feel good, feel free to skip it. The other nice thing here is you can kind of use this as a mindfulness practice to tune into the rhythm and the movement of your breath. And then the next one that we'll do is a kind of hug. And so what you'll do is you'll take one arm and tuck it under your armpit, and you can either tuck your thumb in with it, or you can have your thumb out, whatever you like. The other hand comes across to your arm, sort of somewhere around the shoulder, a little bit lower, and you're just kind of holding yourself here. And I'm sure you've done this before instinctively. It's a nice gesture too, to when you're feeling cold. So you can do this either way, whichever hand you want on top. You can also do both hands out if that feels more comfortable than having one hand tucked in. So let's pause for a moment and see what it feels like to give yourself a little hug in this way. Right. And then big Exhale as you release. And then we'll do one more in the introduction here. And this is called the butterfly hug. So in this one, it's less of a hug and more of a movement or a gesture. So you'll cross your hands in front of your chest. And it's optional here if you want and it feels comfortable. You can hook your thumbs, but it's not necessary either way. And then your hands come to rest on your chest. You want your fingertips below your collarbones. So if you can feel your collarbones here, just go a little lower. And fingertips are more upright than to the sides. So sort of on an angle up towards the ceiling. And then there's a movement in this one as well. And the movement is to tap one side and then tap the other. So you can try that. Just letting the heels of your hands rest on your chest and the fingers tapping. So this coordinates the left and right sides of the brain to bring us back into balance if we've become agitated in some way. And you can also do this without the tapping. So if it feels better to you to simply hold the hands crossed over your chest, you can do it that way as well. Right, so when you're ready, you can exhale and release. And we're going to make our way down onto the ground. So we're going to start continue the practice. We've already started, but continue lying down on our backs. So I'll see you in that position on the mat. As you come to lie down, you can have your knees bent to begin with. And let's come to that gesture that we did upright a moment ago. So one hand either lower on the rib cage or middle or higher on the rib cage. My suggestion is to bring this hand somewhere where you can also rest your elbow on the ground. Right, so if I'm up here and I have to work to hold my arm up, it's not going to be as relaxing. So I'm going to let my elbow come to the ground and just let my hand rest then on my lower rib cage, the other hand on the belly. Then you can close your eyes. And so this little bit of extra weight on the belly, let that bring a bit more of your attention to your exhalation. It's generally when the belly moves back toward the ground, you're letting the breath go. Feel the ground beneath you now. Eyes can be open or closed as you like. Feeling the ground beneath you now, softening into the support of the ground. So each week we're building on the tools that we've looked at the week before. So last week was grounding and felt sense. So tuning into the experience of being here with your back on the ground, noticing the pressure, the sensations, softening into the earth, especially as you exhale, letting the breath go. And if your hands aren't providing enough support for you, and if you have handy, say, a bolster or a cushion, for some people having that extra weight feels even better. Kind of like a weighted blanket, giving us a kind of hug. Great. We'll do a little bit of movement for the arms before we get into some leg movement. So I'm going to take the arms now and stretch them up toward the ceiling, parallel to one another over your chest, so straight up out of your shoulders toward the ceiling, and then circle your wrists gently and slowly. You can do this with your hands open, or you might make your hands into fists if that feels like a better stretch for you. You can go one way, the other way. Great. And then interlace your fingers. And as long as it's comfortable for your hands and wrists, turn your palms toward the ceiling, pressing the hands up, stretching the wrists, the hands, the forearms. Okay, big breath in. As you exhale, relax your hands, release them, turning them around, and give your arms a shake. And then we're going to take the arms wide, right out to the side, straight out on the ground. Stretch the fingers wide, growing your arms long. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, crossing your arms, so one hand comes to the opposite armpit, the other hand comes to the opposite upper arm. Again, it could be both hands to opposite arms if you prefer. And then we'll open with the breath in, and then we'll do it with the other arm. So as you come across, reaching the other arm under, opposite arm over. So we'll do this a few times, opening. You can open with the breath in, and come across with your exhale. Okay, one more. Okay, and then opening the arms to the sides. Big breath in, and again, this time lifting the arms just so they're parallel to one another over your chest, bending your elbows to bring your hands to opposite elbows, and then a little side to side movement with your elbows and head. So we're doing a little twist to the upper back now, just rolling across the back of your head as the elbows go one way, the head goes the same way. So side to side a couple of times. Maybe getting into some of those gardening muscles in the upper back and shoulders. Great, and then coming back to the center, let's release the arms. Bring them down to the ground. Or they can rest on your body again, whatever is comfortable for you. And take a few breaths wherever you are to notice. Notice your arms, shoulders, upper back. Feel the ground beneath your shoulder blades. And be aware of any sensations that you may have activated through that movement. Big breath in and then exhale. So another way is sort of a side that helps to release tension in the body is to sigh, is to breathe in, and when you let the breath out, let it out with a sigh. You can also yawn, even if it's a fake yawn, it still has that same effect of relaxing the nervous system. So you can add those, sprinkle those little details in as you like. And we'll bring the knees up into the chest now, bringing your hands one to each knee. And let's just do a little bit of movement to massage the back, whatever would feel good to you. So it could be a little side to side movement. Make sure there's enough padding underneath your back so you're not uncomfortable on the ground. And make sure that you're well padded. So circle, rocking, hugging the knees, whatever would feel good. Check in with your back. Notice how, especially your lower back feels now in this movement. If you want to massage a little further down in the back of the hips, take the knees a little further away. Rock or circle around. Right, and then keeping the knees into the chest, let your elbows come to rest on the floor and let your hands come to rest on the sides of your thighs. And then we'll let the knees open to the sides. The hands are here for support. And then come back together. So knees opening. Feel your hands slide along your legs as you open and close the knees. And maybe even tune into that gentle touch. Tuning into the felt sense of your hands sliding on your legs as the knees open and close. And then if it feels good to you, next time you're supporting the knees out to the side, holding them there with your hands, and let the knees, the inner thighs, the hips relax. Let your hands support, so you can move the hands to wherever you need to feel like you're well supported. And then slowly let the knees come back together. You can reach your hands around your legs or behind your thighs if that works better for you, to give yourself another little hug here. And then we'll release the feet back to the ground. So for this one, you can leave the hands on the body if you like. We're going to move into the twist. We usually do the twist with the arms on the ground. And really the main thing is we don't want to be twisting onto the arms, which would be uncomfortable. So because our theme today is touch, if it feels all right for you, you can leave your hands on your body as we twist. So you'll take a breath in. Actually, we're going to not even worry about the breath in this twist so that you can really slow it down. So letting the knees go to one side, breathing normally. Notice when you start to feel some sensation of stretch or twist, coming back to center and slowly going to the other side. So you might feel as your torso twists that your hands also kind of slide on the body. That may or may not be the case for you, but I invite you to really tune into that movement, that touch. At the same time, feeling your hips, feeling your back, making sure not to overdo it. So your twist may not be as far as my twist, or it might be further. Really tuning into your own body. If your body says that it would like to stay for a few breaths, feel free to stay or keep moving. Honoring your body's limits, so not forcing or pushing past what feels good to you. And then eventually you'll come back to the center. So here we're going to again bring the knees into the chest. And this is another kind of containment hold, right? As we come into the body, we're creating a kind of body hug. You can bring your hands around your shins or just let them rest on your knee, whatever's comfortable. Maybe rock a little side to side if you like. Okay, and then let's bring one foot to the floor. So we'll leave one leg up in the air. The other foot comes to the floor. And here, you're going to bring the knee that's up in close to your body. If it's comfortable and you can reach okay, you're going to reach behind your thigh. You can interlace your fingers or just hold on to the sides of your leg. So you want the freedom to move the lower part of your leg. So with your leg close to your body, so we're not going to move the upper part of the leg away from the body. We'll keep it close, but move the lower leg up toward the ceiling and then back in. So moving the lower leg, you can flex your foot as you reach it up, and then point your toes as you bring it down. So we're not trying to get the leg straight at all. We're just moving the lower part of the leg while keeping the upper part stationary, close to the chest. You'll probably feel that your leg has to work a little bit, especially the front part of your thigh and your hip, to move your leg in this way. Right, and then you can stay for a few breaths. So bringing the leg to a point where you feel like that's enough stretch for you, staying there. If you want a little bit more, you can reach for the lower part of your leg and move the leg a little bit straighter until you feel the appropriate stretch in the back of the leg that feels good to you. Right, let's release the leg now and let it move away from the body so you're really comfortable. The leg can be straight or a little bit bent while you circle the ankle around. Relax the ankle, give the leg a little shake. And then that same leg, we're going to stretch it straight out on the ground. So feel that opening down the front of the hip, relax the leg, you can give it a little shake and then let it go. Okay. And then let's bring that same leg back in toward the body. We're going to work with the same leg again, placing the ankle above the opposite knee. So now your knee is out to one side, your ankle's resting on the opposite leg. And tune in here, so check in. Does this feel like a stretch for you at all? For some people, this is a stretch. It may not be for you, or it may be absolutely fine here. You want to make sure the knee that's, the leg that's crossed over, that knee is always comfortable here. So if you feel a pulling in your knee, good sign to back off. To get more stretch, you want to bring the legs closer to the body. So you can either just lift up onto the toes of the foot on the ground, you can place a block or a book under that foot, or you might reach your hands, one between your legs, one on the outside, to reach behind the leg that was on the floor. So you don't want to reach the leg that was already up, you want to reach behind the leg that was on the floor. It's a little harder to reach. You might hold the sides of your pants or use a belt or a sock if you can't quite reach your hands right around. So wherever you are, I've given you lots of options. Hopefully there's something in there that works for you. So you can stay here, maybe rock a little side to side, keep breathing. And when you're ready, we will slowly release. Now uncross the legs and we'll stretch both legs out for a moment. The hands can rest on the body, coming back to that placement, that touch. And as you stretch your legs out, noticing any difference between one leg and the other leg. The leg we've already worked, the one we haven't yet worked. No right or wrong answer as always. We're simply tuning in. And then again, we'll bend both knees to move into that sequence on the other side. So bringing the opposite knee in now. Again, you can hold your hands behind the thigh if you're able to reach comfortably. If not, that belt or sock might come in handy here, or you can just hang on to the sides of your yoga pants or whatever you're wearing. So with the knee close to the body, slowly moving the lower leg away from the upper leg. So sole of the feet, foot toward the ceiling. And then if you like, you can point the toes as the leg comes down. So at your own speed, staying within your own relative easeful comfort zone, right? If we only stay in our comfort zone, we never grow. We never stretch ourselves beyond where we currently are. So a little bit of, you could call it discomfort or stretch feeling is great as long as it's not a strain and it's not creating tension in your body. And move to the edge of your comfort a little bit. Right, and then maybe staying there. If you want a bit more stretch and it's available to you, you could reach up towards your calf and gently draw that leg towards you. Of course, if you want less stretch, moving the leg away and bending the knee. Right, and then when you're ready, you can release, bring that foot to the floor and stretch that leg straight out on the ground. You can give it a little shake and then let it relax. Notice any sensations that are present in that leg. And then we'll bring the knee back in toward the body and take that ankle now. Same leg, that we've been working with, taking the ankle to the opposite thigh just above the knee. Same options here. So it may or may not feel the same on this side. We're not symmetrical, so you may not feel as much, or you might feel more on this side. In fact, I didn't recommend a side to start on, so it's quite likely that you instinctively chose the side that feels easier for you. So if this side feels a little bit more challenging, that's likely the reason. So you can use a book or a block under your foot to bring the legs a little closer, or you can lift the foot right off the ground and use your hands to hold that leg, either using a prop to help lengthen your arms or clasping your hands behind your thigh. So stay here for a few breaths. If you like, you can rock a bit side to side, or you can stay still and simply breathe. Try to stay always tuned in to notice what sensations are present. Okay, and again, it's nice to release a pose with a big exhale, so you can start by taking an inhale. And exhale to release. And then you can stretch both legs out on the ground. Maybe give them both a little shake if that feels good, and then let them relax for a moment. And notice how your lower body feels now after that work. You might feel some sensations in your legs. Notice what's present for you. Right, and then maybe if it's okay with your shoulders, take the arms overhead and stretch out from fingertips to your toes. Couple of breaths here. Right, and then you can slowly release the arms down, bending your knees. And we'll make our way upright. So you can roll onto your side and use your opposite hand to support you as you come upright. I'm seeing that it was quite dark in the screen, so hopefully you were able to see me while I was down on the ground and working on the lighting and getting everything just right. So we're going to come to all fours now. So once you've made your way upright, coming to hands and knees. So here, moving from all fours, arching, and then rounding the back. And you have the option to also add in child's pose. So elbows soft here, shoulders moving back as the chest comes forward, rounding the back, maybe moving the hips back toward the heels if that works for you, if that's comfortable for you. Back to all fours. If you want to coordinate your breathing here, that can be a nice option. Inhaling as you make space for the breath. Arching, and then as you round and maybe come to child's pose, exhaling the breath out. Feel free to stay with this movement. If you prefer to change it up, you can circle the hips around. And if you're circling, try going each direction a few times. Right. And then we're going to make our way to child's pose. So child's pose can be a bit tricky for the knees and the ankles. So you may want to put some padding, maybe a folded or rolled up blanket underneath your ankles, or you can put a flat folded blanket between your thighs and your calves if you like. You can also stay more upright by coming into a forearm version where it's like child's pose, but no pressure on the joints, not no pressure, but less pressure. or coming into child's pose, either with the knees together or apart. So whatever works for you. You can let the head rest on the ground or on your hands. And so child's pose itself is like a container, right? It's like a hug, squeezing and squishing our bodies into this position. There's a reason that babies and children come into this pose because it feels safe. It feels comfortable. And if it doesn't feel comfortable for you, please adjust so that it does feel comfortable. It's kind of like a turtle going into its shell, right? We go inward where it's warm, dark, and safe. When you're ready to emerge from your shell, you can start to lift back up onto all fours. And we're going to make our way to stand. So you feel free to get there however you like. Come up slowly, especially because we've just been all crunched up in child's pose. So we want to make sure that the blood has a chance to redistribute as you come upright. So if you feel a little lightheaded, take your time until we're together and upright. So once you've made your way to mountain pose, the basic standing pose, let's come back to what we were working on before, the grounding, right, and the feeling of our body being in alignment in mountain pose. So heels taking just slightly more of the weight, enough so you feel your thighs start to work. So your hips are centered over your heels, shoulders over the hips, head over the shoulders, arms hanging down, hands relaxed. And have that sense of going down into the earth through the legs, through the heels, and at the same time lifting through the upper body, feeling light and open, the crown of the head reaching towards the sky. Right. And then from here, let's take the arms out to the sides. Take a breath in. Turn the palms up toward the ceiling. And then as you exhale, turn the palms down toward the ground. So inhale, open. Palms up, exhale, palms down. And then you can rotate a little more. So palms up, maybe fingers lifting a little. And then palms down, maybe the thumbs roll right down to the ground or even back a little. So rotating the shoulders, open, and then down. If it's hard on your shoulders, lower your arms. And if your arms are still parallel to the ground, lower about halfway and try the same thing. See how that changes the stretch. Right, and then give the arms a shake down to your sides. You can shake the legs a little as well after standing in mountain pose. So we always want to make sure we're not creating tension in the joints. So we can bend and straighten the knees a few times, which also flexes the hips and ankles. And then we'll take the feet a little bit wider apart. And we'll do a few rotations for the shoulders. So keep your knees soft and let one shoulder rotate to come forward. So you're twisting, lifting that shoulder, rolling it back and bringing it down. And that will leave the other shoulder forward, which you'll then lift, roll back and down. So the hips can start to swing as well. The head might release and move. Working in your own way, the way that feels good to you. Let your body move. It doesn't have to be circles. It can be any movements. Just find your flow. Find your rhythm. Step into your rhythm. Beautiful. Let's come back to the center and give a little more love to the hips. So bring the hands to the hips, soft knees again, and let the hips roll now in a circle. So you can As always, stay tuned into the sensations in your body. The feeling as you go around the circle with your hips. There may be more sensation in some places, less in others. You can switch directions. Beautiful. Coming back to the center. So you can leave the feet about hip distance apart as long as that's comfortable for you. We're going to work on one side at a time, stretching one side at a time. So choose a side, doesn't matter which side. And on that side that you choose, so it's as if you split your body in half from the center. So really anchoring down into one foot. So let the other side just be relaxed. You're going to feel that one leg kind of draw up, the heel sink down. Feel really firm and strong in that leg. Don't worry about the other leg. It can just do its thing. And then raising up the arm, the same side as the leg that you're working with. So keep pressing down, and now we're reaching up. And we're going to slowly reach over to the side. This lower arm's just dangling and then coming back. Your hips stay in the same position. So as you go to the side, you're not pushing your hips to the other side. So it's barely to the side. It's mostly up. And then back to center. Up and a little over. And back to center. If it feels okay, you can stay for a couple of breaths now. And as you're staying, breathe into that space from your armpit to your hip. Feel that whole side lengthen. It's barely a side bend, just enough to feel that little tiny bit of stretch. Great, let's come up and slowly release. You might want to bring your legs together just for a moment. If you feel tension in your legs, bend and straighten a few times. And then pause for a moment back in mountain pose. Imagine that body split again. Notice how the side feels that you've just worked versus the side that you have not yet worked. So do you feel a difference? Just noticing what seems to be true for you. Right, and then we will work with the other side. So you want to take your feet wider again. Right, and then the other side, so whichever leg you weren't focused on before, coming into focus on that side now. Why it got really dark on my screen all of a sudden. So pressing down into that heel, reaching up with the opposite or same arm on the same side. And then reaching up and a little over. Back to center. Not sure why my camera is not seeing me. Good, reaching up and a little over. So hips stay in the same spot. Okay? I'm not moving my hips, just a little side extension. If you like, you can stay for a few breaths. Relax this lower arm. Press down into the foot on the same side of the arm that's lifted. Breathe from the armpit to the hip. Let's come up and slowly release. You can step your feet back in side by side, back to mountain pose. And again, notice, how does that side of your body feel compared with the side that you worked a little while ago? All right, we're going to move into a forward bend just to balance after the side bending. So we'll move dynamically in and out of the forward bend. You can coordinate your breath if you like. So you're inhaling, lifting up the arms, and then exhaling, coming forward. You can rest your hands on your thighs or go down further if that's available to you. And coming up, breathing in as you lift, and soft knees. So you don't want to have straight legs. You want to keep the knees soft as you come forward, letting the head release. And coming back up. So if you're coordinating breath, inhale up Exhale, forward. If it feels good for you, go ahead and stay in the forward bend. So hands come onto the thighs or elbows on the thighs. Or you can let your body hang down. And as you do that, I'm just going to check the camera settings to see what is going on over here. When you're ready to come out of the forward bend, you're going to come up. And come back to mountain pose. So now I'm noticing that I'm no longer on the screen. So double check those camera settings. And I'm back. Sorry about that. All right, so coming back to mountain pose, taking a few breaths. You can bring your hands back to your body. I noticed I just instinctively did that after that little bit of flustered checking on the camera. So my instinct was to come back to this comforting touch. So you can come back as well, reground yourself. Beautiful. So we're going to move into warrior now. So adding a little bit of a twist to our warrior. So from mountain pose, you'll step 1 foot forward, and it can be a larger or a smaller step depending on what feels right for you. The back foot is going to turn out to the side. So we'll start moving dynamically with our warrior. So bending the front knee over the ankle, lifting the arms up, and then we'll come forward. So keeping a nice long spine, just coming forward a little bit to bring your hands onto your knee. You might feel a bit of stretch in the back leg. You'll come up again, and then coming forward. So I apologize for the lighting. I'm not going to mess with it. It will just keep on going. And hopefully you can see me well enough and certainly hear my instructions. So with the hands on the front knee now, we're going to keep the hand that's opposite. So if it's your left knee forward, it'll be your right hand on the knee. You're going to let the other arm come down, and you're going to swing that arm back as you turn back towards that hand. And then you can swing the arm back forward, hand to the knee, and then swing back. So we're just adding a bit of dynamic twist here, coming from the forward bend, sort of a half forward bend, taking the arm back and following it. You can follow with your gaze if you like, if you can stay balanced and look back. Good, one more time, reaching back, good, and coming down. We'll lift all the way up, and release. So stepping the feet back together, and we'll try that same warrior sequence with a twist on the other side. So 1 foot forward, the other foot is turning back behind you, or turning not back, turning to the side. That would be quite a trick to turn your foot back. And front foot straight ahead, knee bending more or less over the ankle. We'll lift the arms and moving dynamically. So coming forward, try to keep a long spine so we're not rounding as we come forward, but keeping that lift through the heart. Coming back up. If you want to coordinate breath, inhale up, exhale forward. Good. This time as you come forward, you can stay. Good. So as you're staying, again, the hand that corresponds to the opposite side. So if your right foot is forward, your left hand will be on your knee. Your right hand will swing down and it's going to reach back and you're going to turn your shoulders as the arm goes back and then come back to the front. Again, swinging back and coming forward. Do a couple more like that. Right, and then next time you come forward, we'll lift all the way up and release the arms down. And then stepping the feet back together, coming back to mountain pose. Again, we'll move into a forward bend. So again, we'll do this dynamically and it's about realigning the spine after the twist. So coming up with a breath in, you're going to bend your knees and come forward. Inhale, coming up with your coordinating breath. You'll also exhale as you go forward. So a few more at your own pace. And then let's stay upright. Let the arms come down to the sides. Shoulders sink away from the ears, crown of the head lifting. Heels dropping down, back in our mountain pose. We're going to go back to the ground in a moment, but before we come to lie down, let's take the hands over the chest in the butterfly hug. So the hands are crossed, maybe the thumbs are also crossed. You can tap one side and then the other. As you tap, feel your heels on the ground, sinking down. Feel your breath moving with as much ease as possible. Crown of your head lifting towards the sky. And let the hands rest there for a moment. Feel that pressure against the chest. Good. And then with a big breath and a sigh or release. So big breath in. All right, so I'm going to invite you to move down to the ground. You can get there however you like. And yeah, I have a feeling that my camera is going to make it really dark again, but we'll just do the best. So coming down to the ground. To lie down again. Knees bent as long as that's comfortable for you, or you can straighten the legs if you prefer. And then coming back to that hold where we place the hands on the body. As you breathe, see if you can feel a little bit of movement of your hands with the breath. As you exhale, feel as though your hands add just that little bit of extra weight, dropping the belly toward the spine toward the ground. The breath be natural, there's no need to control it in any way. Just feeling the movement of your breath under your hands and having the intention of softening with each exhalation. From here, let's take the hands down to the ground and turn the palms toward the ceiling and let the arms come a little bit away from your body as long as that's comfortable for you. Bring the heels in under your knees. And you can either just stay on the ground here and press into the feet and release in a little bit of a pelvic tilt if just a small movement would feel best to you. Or if you want a little bit more, you can press into the feet and actually lift the hips off the ground, lower them back down. Go at your own pace, so there's no need to coordinate with the breath or move at any particular pace. You can take as many breaths as you need, lifting, slowly, lowering, slowly, or just staying staying on the ground, pressing your feet to flatten your lower back and then releasing. So whatever feels best to you, just to give a little more release to the lower back, a little more strength in the legs. If you're lifting the body in bridge pose and you want to stay for a few breaths, feel free to stay. If you're staying, think about making the effort be in your legs, letting your arms, shoulders, upper body, neck, face, jaw relax. You don't have to lift very high. You can be just barely off the ground and you'll still get the benefit of working here with the legs. When you're ready to release, if you're still in the pose, take a big breath. And with a sigh, your body release to the ground. And then bringing the knees up in toward the chest. You can rock or circle or move the knees forward and back. Just whatever would feel good to release and stretch and massage your back along the ground here. Eventually, when you feel complete with that, if there's any other movement that your body wants to do, please do. We're going to move now into Shavasana. So I recommend getting as comfortable as possible. I'll stay close to the computer for this. So not that you'll be seeing me because you'll be hopefully relaxed with your eyes closed, but getting comfortable. I think I mentioned earlier, you can have your hands on your body, or you may even want to put a pillow or a bolster or a cushion if that makes you feel a little more supported. Or hands is fine, or if you prefer hands on the ground, totally fine. Knees bent or straight, again, according to what feels better for your body. If your body still needs to move, anything needs to get worked out, do that, and then eventually start to find your way to stillness. If it helps you to feel more relaxed, you can make some sound with your exhale. Personally find it's really relaxing, but we're all so different. So lots of tools so that you find hopefully something that works for you. And then as you find that comfortable position, start to relax, focus on your exhale and that sense of dropping into the earth with each exhalation. Feel your shoulders and arms let go. Relax your hands. And as you relax from your shoulders to your fingertips, notice how your shoulders are connected to your neck. And see if you can also relax your neck, your throat. And notice how your neck muscles are connected to your jaw. And relax your jaw. Relax all the muscles of your face, around your mouth, your cheekbones, your eyes, your forehead. Exhale and relax the skin of your scalp. The shoulders and arms go again. Let them release even more. And relaxing around the chest, the upper back. Relaxing the abdomen and the lower back. Softening and releasing the hips, the pelvis, the buttocks. As you exhale, feel your thighs let go, your knees soften. Relax your calves, your ankles. Relax your feet, even your toes, letting go. Each exhalation, soften, let go, release. All of the tools and resources we've been looking at over the last few weeks, they all have the same intention, which is to release and relax the nervous system, to bring us down to a more calm place and to give us more of a sense of peace and ease in our bodies. And today our chant is about that peace, the peace that we gain from being connected to the earth, to the fire of the sun, to the air, to our truth. And adding one more tool to peace, touch. Our touch or the touch of another can bring us so much grounding and peace. Namo Brahmane Namo Astvagnaye Namah Prithivyaye Namah Oshadhibhyaha Namo Vache Namo Vachaspataye Namo Vishnave Ruhate Karo Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Your time, come back to your breath. Feel the ground beneath you. If you've lost that connection, come back to the felt sense of earth under your body, ground underneath you. And if you're ready to start to move back into your day, You can start to deepen your breath and add some movement as you're ready. If you want to stay in Shavasana a little longer, that's always a lovely option. Moving in your own time, in your own way, whatever would feel good. You might roll to your side. When you're ready, if you're choosing to, you can come back to an upright position. And bring your hands together. So as always, I encourage you to use these tools in your daily life. Yoga is not just about the time we spend on the mat, but how we integrate that time into the rest of our lives. So using these holds, and as I mentioned, I will send them out to you, a reminder in the email that goes out later today, so you don't have to remember. But if something felt good to you, you might try it a few times and see how it works. Namaste.